Father Adam Sexton is a rector of a parish and a mission priest. Father Adam converted to Orthodoxy from Roman Catholicism. In this brief discussion with the Share the Faith Board of Directors, Father Adam gives us great insight into the life of many priests who must work to make ends meet while also raising a family and serving the needs of their communities. Share the Faith is the only pan-Orthodox charity dedicated to helping priests so that they can focus on their priesthood instead of working secular jobs to pay bills. Without full-time priests, how will we ever evangelize the United States? To help, please visit sharethefaith.net today and find out more about our mission. Now, Father Adam will describe his communities and talk with the Share the Faith Board of Directors about his ministry.
Two of my communities, I have St. Andrew's Orthodox Church in Ashland, Virginia. I've been here for about 8 years. It's interestingly the parish where Mateuszka Angie and I discovered Orthodoxy 20 some years ago, 22 really. I think I tripped on Orthodoxy about 5 or 6 after we got married. And for a year or so, I just kept studying and studying, trying to find out why can't they just be Catholics? We were right, weren't we? And then it came to discover through much study and prayer that, my goodness, I was Orthodox. Hats off to my Roman Catholic family and friends. I love the Catholics. They brought me to Orthodoxy. Everything. I always caution people never to burn any bridges or to look back with or look askance at where you came from, because that is what formed you in the faith. It gave you a foundation to be able to accept the Orthodox faith in its fullness. And so I always have a kindness toward the Roman Catholics and a fondness for where I came from, but a firm understanding that there is something more, something fuller, and that we all deserve to find that fullness. But I have St. Andrew's now, and I also have St. Peter and Paul Orthodox Mission in Culpeper, Virginia, where Mateuszka Angie came from. It's about an hour or a little bit more from the nearest Orthodox church in any direction that you go, and it's a large enough place where people should be actively starting a mission. And I always said there's never a possibility that I would become a mission priest. And I've also learned over the course of my life never to say never, because that's a sure bet that's going to happen.
Right.
And so, I always said I could never be a mission priest because I'm terrible in the choir and I don't know how to train a choir and what have you, and that still remains true. But this mission began with a few small families fishing around for any of the Virginia clergy who would be willing to come and just meet and talk to them about the possibility of one day forming a mission. This would have been back. I finally, they had several opportunities where they were going to have different priests come out, and I was the only one that showed up. And so I showed up, and really I was supposed to give a talk about Orthodoxy to maybe those who weren't Orthodox and might be interested in finding out more about it. But everybody that showed up was either Orthodox or related to me. So I sort of had to change my pitch because, I'd be preaching to the choir, so to speak, at that point. And so what became just what I planned to chit chat, do some fishing and whatever, hiking and hanging out and give an hour little spiel about Orthodoxy turned into a I don't know, what do you want to call it, grassroots stump speech about you can do this, we can do this. And that we left there having laid a cornerstone. I'd like to say quite by accident, but I don't think it was any accident as far as the Lord was concerned. And very quickly from there, the work of becoming incorporated and receiving a blessing from His Eminence Alexander to begin a mission effort there in Culpeper. It was about a month and a half, 2 months before all the paperwork was cleared, and we all of a sudden were a mission. And all of a sudden I had to figure out a way to be present in both places. Now Culpeper is an hour and a half northwest of Ashland, where we live. And so while it's physically possible to do every week, I knew starting out that that wasn't the right pace to set. So I committed to every 2 weeks going up Friday for Vespers and Saturday for Divine Liturgy. And there have been people who have been coming who weren't part of the original crew, and they'll pop in having heard of us online and being very intrigued that, oh man, I belong to this parish. It's an hour and some change away, but this is only 20 minutes from my house or 5 minutes from my house, and gosh, it'd be really nice to be able to have a regular attendance at this mission. So I would say conservatively there's about 5 families in the mission, with a handful of folks who pop in and who have expressed interest and who come periodically. They don't come every time we meet, but there's something very moving that happened that first day in August with this mission, and it was very clear to me, and I don't know why, that of all people, St. Job of Pachayev is very interested in seeing this mission thrive. I had no connection to St. Job. I knew of him, but it wasn't anything. I had no personal devotion to St. Job, but I was firmly convinced, it was very much on my heart that he was interested in praying for this mission. We considered briefly naming the mission St. Job, but obviously we decided maybe a more recognizable name like St. Peter and Paul might appeal to those who aren't that familiar with a Ukrainian monastic from 500 or however many years ago. It might be relevant to throw the apostles in there. And that name was blessed. My parish, St. Andrew's in Ashland, is like I said, I've been there for 5 or 8 years and been associated with them for at this point 22, I think. And it's interesting. The what they taught us in seminary is, like, don't make any changes for the first 5 years where you go to a parish, and also the 20, there's the 10% who love you at first, the 10% who hate you at first, and the 80% in the between will always remain the same. And over the course of these 8 years, there have been those hurdles to get over with personalities and such, and we get to this 7-8 year mark, and all of a sudden, if they've tried to get rid of you, they've stopped because they know you're not leaving because you love them. And they stop fighting you on things that you are trying to lead them down this path or that path to do more or maybe even different than what they've been doing. And the parish had experienced great low point or as attendance, and it has ups and downs, but it's that magic spot that they talk about when they're talking about pastoral care in seminary. You get to about the 5 to 7 year mark, and all of a sudden things start to coalesce and come together. And I don't know how much 2020 had to do with, and the quarantines and what have you had to do with this, but there's a unprecedented just influx of people to St. Andrews, such that the parking lot is full and people have to park on the street, and people are standing on top of each other. And I mean, it's a great problem to have. Yes. And when we Rapaza afterward, we can't fit in it. We have to fill out the whole and everything. So we're seeing this unprecedented growth, but none of it seems to be like I'm not bewildered by any of it. It's just like, well, God is with us. And, we have a huge bumper crop of catechumens now. So I'm quite busy. Used to be at one point, I was able to set the parish on autopilot for most of the week and go and work outside of the church to make ends meet. I am finding that I just don't have time. If I want to really serve these people as their priest and to provide for them, I don't really have that much time to work. Any extra that prevents me from having to go back on, because my main bread and butter, which ended up being very, I'd say relatively lucrative, was driving Uber and Lyft. And there's fewer drivers competing for customers, and I tend to be a bit of a night owl. So, I would go and I'd probably do between 4 to 6 days a week driving on the most extreme. And it definitely filled in, but that was predicated upon my ability to actually let the parish be on autopilot, which is not, I mean, if I were to do that, there would be folks who needed pastoral care that weren't getting it Saturday and Sunday.